first off, your health is the most important thing in your life, and that is a health on body, mind, and soul. All three. It is very important to support those three things. And to also, as I said earlier, you are a unique individual. You have unique talents. Everybody is unique. Find that uniqueness within yourself. Find that passion within yourself, and then follow it. And if you do, you will become a very prosperous person in this world.
I'd love to hear more about your work on karma, because this is something that a lot of the times we often misunderstand to be something that is a negative thing, and I'd love you to really elaborate on what karma is. Welcome to the Daily Soul Bytes show. I am your host, Bolaabimbola, frequency alchemist, life coach, and energy practitioner. Daily Soul Bytes is where we interview guest authors, coaches, and entrepreneurs from the fields of spirituality, psychology, and leadership to share their insights for the expansion of collective consciousness. And today I have a very special guest all the way from Florida, Dr. Lynn Anderson. Welcome to the show, Dr. Lynn Anderson.
Oh, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Really nice to have you, Lynn. I'll read your bio before we start. Dr. Lynn Anderson is a naturopath, a yoga therapist, a karma master, a holistic health teacher, an author, a producer of over 30 years. With experience of over 30 years, that's absolutely amazing. Internationally and recognized author and speaker. That is so wonderful. I can't wait to hear about some of your expertise because you cover quite a wide range. But first, I'd like to know, Lynn, what has led you to this place? Just give us a summary of some of the things that really were aha moments or things that really led you in this direction of looking at, our spiritual self, about the naturopath, yoga, because these are all modalities that help us to transform our spirit self, to surrender more to that spirit self. I'd love to hear how you came to this, and then I'd love to know a bit more about your expertise on karma and happiness.
Okay. Well, it kind of goes all the way back to my upbringing. I was brought up on an island off the coast of Maine, and it was a little fishing village. And in that little fishing village, we didn't have a doctor, and we had very rural roads to get to the town. So I was kind of raised in an environment where we were eating organic before people were even using the phrase, because we had to eat what was there, what we got from the fishermen and what we got from the island. And my mother and my grandmother and my aunts were all kind of what we call, we did kitchen sink surgery, kitchen sink medicine, which meant we had tonics, and we would go out in the woods and get things like burdock to put on sores, and we would always have little tonics and things that they would make up, which were things to kind of help you get better until we could get to a doctor. So I kind of grew up in that kind of natural, holistic, without even really knowing what it was. And then I was a single mother with two young children in my early 20s, and I decided to go back and finish my undergraduate degree. And that was quite a task because I had no money. I was broke. I was on welfare. I had two young kids, but I was a determined young woman. You can't say no to me. I thought I could do it. And I did. I did graduate, and I graduated with a 3.8, which was pretty remarkable. I mean, I really worked very hard. But after I got to that place, I had what's called a crash and burn. And many people have experienced that, where I physically, mentally, and soulfully just kind of collapsed from all the stress and everything that was going on. And that kind of led me back to looking at my natural health upbringing and realizing I had to build myself back up, with a healthy diet and exercise. But it also kind of led me into getting involved in health and fitness. And that led me to a yoga class. And I went to a yoga class, and the teacher was just inspirational. And I thought, this is it. This is my path. And it was from that point on that I just continued along this path, and it's been 40 years.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it, Lynn. because I know that a lot of us, when we have this passion for education, for academics, and we have a gift for it, we sometimes, do not allow ourselves the time that we need to allow it to really accommodate all the other experiences that we have going on. I say this as someone who was a single mother as well, who
Mhm.
was studying and ended up having, yes, and when you can study, you study. But then when the nervous breakdown comes and you're trying to kind of make ends meet, then you really then have to pause. The universe forces us to pause. And then where do we go from there? So sometimes these experiences do lead to remarkable times in our lives. And what is your doctorate, Amy?
My doctorate is in naturopathy, and naturopathy is it's the study of the natural sciences. So as a naturopath, we work with clients, and it begins with the basic with this nutrition and exercise, and of course, and then we go on to aromatherapy and herbology and environmental things, light therapy, color therapy. So it's really taking the natural environment and bringing that together and really treating the human being as we evolved in the natural environment and supplying those things to the individual. So it's really taking that holistic approach.
I love that because a lot of these approaches really help us to allow the physical ego self to surrender to that higher self, which is our true being. That is who we truly are. And this is
Mhm.
a bit about what my book is about, Daily Soul Bytes. Daily
Mhm.
Soul Bytes is now available anywhere books are sold online. And it's really talking about the different perspectives within us, the higher perspectives of the higher self and the lower fear-based perspectives of the physical ego self, and we can really come to understand these different perspectives in us. So one thought comes into our mind, but it's not the only thought. There are other thoughts, and it's about acceptance, about embracing and surrendering using different modalities. So I love when I have guests on the show who talk about different modalities that help us to understand that higher self and to surrender, understanding the physical ego self, which doesn't go away, but it's about how we come to understand, the dynamics of the higher self and how it is a place of unconditional, and we can begin to embody ourselves, our true self, a lot more on a day to day. So I'd love to hear more about your work on karma, because this is something that a lot of the times we often misunderstand to be something that is a negative thing, and
Mhm.
I'd love you to really elaborate on what karma is.
Well, I'd love to, but I first like to tell you that I really appreciate your connection with the soul essence and understanding all of that, because that is a big part of naturopathy and of karma and of yoga. We believe that you're a tripart being, your body, mind, and soul, and it's the integration of all three that creates perfect balance. And that leads into what karma is. Now, karma is a philosophy. Yoga is a science, and it has different branches, and one of the branches is karma. And karma is a very, very practical guide, because karma simply is not the pop culture definition of good and bad, but karma is cause and effect. That's all it means. We are energy, and there is energy moving around. And whatever the effect is of anything in your life, there's a cause behind it. And that cause is an energy that makes it happen. So it's not good or bad, because that would be judgment. And we don't look at judgment. You just have consequences as a result of the energy you put out is the energy that comes back to you. And that's really the very basic level of karma.
Hmm. I love that. I love that. What you put out is what you get, and this is a natural principle of life, and we can come to really allow that to guide us into different states of being. And I would
Mhm.
love you to explain a little bit about how we can really begin to embody more happiness, knowing that there are different things that we do. We have different personality constructs within us, and they sometimes do not enable us to they do not always lead us into our best outcomes. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. But how do we come to embody happiness no matter what? we are experiencing, no matter what we've been conditioned with? Or um, is unhappiness inevitable sometimes? I'd love to explore that a little bit. How
Okay.
do we embody more happiness in our day to day?
Mhm. Well, according to naturopathy and also karma yoga, next to your health, happiness is the most important thing in the world. And if we think about that, if we have health and we have happiness, we have everything. But happiness is just one side of the coin. And according to karma, we are all here as human beings. And as human beings, we've come here to experience everything in life. You can't get through life without some sadness. You can't get through life without feeling those kinds of emotions. It's what we do with those emotions. For we have what's called free will. We have the ability to see a situation any way we want to see that situation. And sometimes, and I've had this in my life, I've had sad situations, which actually turned out to be wonderful because they turned out to be an opportunity. Maybe I was disappointed and something didn't happen, but then the flip side of that, there was this opportunity. So it's being open and aware and not getting stuck. Because when we get stuck, then we get into depression, then we go into stressful situations, then we get into burnout, and that's when we collapse and cannot find that happiness, which is it's the happiness is for each and every one of us to have. It's a given in human life. We just have to work to find it.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. Because I did want to ask you this particular question around really embracing health, happiness, wealth. What do people who come to you, what can they expect when they come to you? And I did want to say that I loved your explanation of how there are some parts of us that will always experience some degree of unhappiness, and how we can come to um, allow whatever is happening to not determine our response, to
Mhm,
respond by looking at different perspectives, higher perspectives, even though we are experiencing some degree of discomfort.
mhm,
We can really come to a place where whenever that happens, we're holding space for it, integrating it, and we're allowing ourselves to move beyond it using modalities like yours. So if people want to come and connect with you, Lynn, what this is looking at the natural and holistic
mhm,
modalities that enable us to embrace the higher aspects of self.
mhm.
What can they expect when they come to you?
Well, oftentimes when I would have clients would come to me or students, they are looking for what I call the magic bullet or my magic wand that I can tap them on the head and poof, here we are, it's all there. And I begin by doing an analysis of where they're at. And I look at not only their physical self, but their mental self and their soulful self. And we look at all three of those. And it's a process. If you are down in a depressed place and you've suppressed your body with bad nutrition and you haven't been sleeping, it takes a long process to get back there. It's a pathway. And it's being willing to take that path and to continually walk that path and understand that karma means work. It takes work to get to those places. It doesn't happen by a magic bullet. And so that I think is what it's educating people to the fact that we can get there, but we have to do the work to get there. And that's why we're here to do the work.
I always say that it takes work. It takes a lot of hard to stay negative, to stay in that place of, that place where we are feeling like victims. And it also takes work to be in that place of a higher perspective, to actually be an empowered being, the true beings that we are. So it's about choose your heart. Do you want to?
Exactly. I mean, we're energy. That's all we are is energy. Now, how do you want to use your energy? The victim gets the energy pulled out of them. And, it's about lifting up the energy and realizing I am energy and I can put my energy anywhere I want to, and I can create whatever I want to. I do have that power to do that. Most people don't believe that, and they get oppressed, or they get stuck in a place and think this is it, but it's not. You are free up here, and in here, you're free. And that's what it's about, is finding that freedom and then following that path. And that path will not be easy. That's what karma tells us. The path is full of all kinds of obstacles and things. That is life. Life is not a cakewalk. And you will have times when you have to take detours and you have to go up over a hill and down in the valley. But it's the tenacity, it's the belief, and it's just putting one foot in front of the other and continuing to walk down that path. And once you've connected and you feel that in your soul that you're on the right path, you just keep going and keep going. And that's really part of the secret to getting there, to happiness.
I know that you also talk about sexual health, natural sexual health. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, it's really interesting because when we think about sexuality, all kinds of things happen, but people don't realize that your sexual self is just as important as your digestive health. I mean, you need to support the hormones. You need to support everything that gives you that vibrancy and that, the strength in your sexuality. That all comes from nutrition. Your hormones are not going to, if you're not feeding your body the right thing, then the hormones aren't going to work properly. And you're going to have all kinds of, things in your mind. A depressed person, for example, depressed person isn't usually very vibrant and sexual, right? So we change the diet, then what we do is we enhance that sense of self-confidence and that sexual energy. So it's about realizing that your sexual self is just as important as your digestive self, as your mental self when it comes to your health.
We are sometimes guided to become celibate because sometimes you lose the taste for sex as you develop spiritual self. What do you have to say about that? Because I totally hear about the decision to really become much more vibrant and much more healthy within and creating good hormones. But there's also the understanding of how to maintain that sexuality within us. Even without the act of having sex, we can actually hold that state of sexual health within us. Because, it's not about being celibate or not celibate. It's about being your natural self, whether you are spiritually awakening or you are not. And what would you say to that, to how sexual health is really more about one thing and not the other?
Well, the very first thing you are as a human being is a sexual human being. Before anything ever happens, you are either a male or a female. That's the determination. Now, things change from there, but if you look, the egg and the sperm come together and they create either a male or a female. So your sexuality is the very first identity you have in this world. And that identity, how you create that identity, whether it be heterosexual, homosexual, whatever you create your sexuality, that follows you through your life. That is an essence. It is a part of your life forever and ever. It goes on until you move to the next world. So it's important to enhance that, not just simply in the sexual act, but within yourself. The sexual self is a vibrant person. That's the person with charisma, right? That's the person that has energy. When you see someone with a lot of energy and charisma and smiling and winking and flirting and all of that stuff, that's the sexual energy. And that's when it's at its best. It's vibrating at a very high level. Because again, we go back. The very first thing we are in this world is a sexual being. And that sexuality creates everything in your life as you move along through your life. And it is not just restricted to the act of sexuality, which is really procreation. That's really what the act is about in nature. It's procreation is the purpose of that, and when that comes together as two people who are really in love and they have that deep passion, it's probably the most closest and beautiful thing that two souls can do in this world. And then if there's a child as a result of it, that's the creation of a new soul. So it's a beautiful thing that sometimes in our society gets twisted into a very perverted thing. Mm-hmm. And, which is kind of sad because it is a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. That's really elaborate. Thank you so much. I do want to, because somebody watching this may, there are times when we're not feeling our true self. There are times in life is about ups and downs. And we never get to a place, I don't think, where we no longer have any downs. There's always something that comes up. And this is how the universe really helps us we can grow through shadow, we can grow through light. So there are times when we're having that down moments. Somebody who is watching this and who is not feeling very vibrant, or they're not really feeling that health, that healthy self, that healthy state of being, what are the 3 things you would advise them to begin to do that would really enable them to connect with that energy of love, that energy of vibrancy, of health within?
Well, first we have to step back to the 3 pillars of health, which are diet, exercise, and sleep. And if you're not feeding the body, and that goes back to where we started with this, if you're not giving it the right nutrition, then it's very hard to be vibrant. It's very hard to be up. When your body is screaming at you, you're not feeding me. I have no energy. You're draining me. And likewise with exercise, we did not evolve as a species to sit. We evolved moving, and it's very important that the body moves, and we also need to make sure that we get the right amount of sleep. So those are really the fundamental things. But, I'll share with you, I teach a lot of classes, and over the years, I've had many students come up to me, and, I of course, am very calming, and, and they'll come up and say, "Oh, Dr. Lynn, your life is you're so calm, and everything's so wonderful." And I always say to them, yes, I'm teaching here, but don't forget, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a grandmother, I have work to do, I have things in my life, and things come up and down. Nobody has this. Everybody has little obstacles and things, and sometimes big obstacles they have to overcome. It's a question of what you do when you are confronted with them. And when you're confronted with them, you can either collapse or you can find that within yourself, that inner energy that allows you to come back and realize that you are a beautiful human being. And there is nobody like you, and there is nobody that has your talents in this whole world. So you're special. We're all special. So use that.
No, thank you for sharing that, Lynn. Yes, I always say that this universe is a universe of love, of choice and alignment. Knowing that we have choice, and knowing that we can align. So I think that's really powerful. And is there any final words you would like to add to our conversation?
I would say to everyone that first off, your health is the most important thing in your life, and that is a health on body, mind, and soul. All 3. It is very important to support those 3 things. And to also, as I said earlier, you are a unique individual. You have unique talents. Everybody is unique. Find that uniqueness within yourself. Find that passion within yourself, and then follow it. And if you do, you will become a very prosperous person in this world, because most people can't do it.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Lynn.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
And where can people find you actually before we go? When they want to connect with you, where can they find you?
They can go to my website, which is drlynn.com. It's spelled out DOCTORLYNN.com. And all of my social media, all my books, everything is there. Just go to the website and you can find everything.
I really enjoyed our conversation. And I do want to ask our audience and our listeners to join to connect with Lynn, for she has many, many years, over 30 years of experience in working with the body in a very natural way that would allow us to really experience that state of flow in all aspects of our day to day. So thank you, Lynn. And I also want to invite everyone to connect with me and to get your copy of Daily Soul Bytes if you haven't. Really, that enables us to experience a deeper acceptance of all that we are, physical league of self as well as that higher self. And so I really invite you to connect and to subscribe to Daily Soul Bites Show. We have new episodes every Wednesday, and we're on 14 platforms now: YouTube, Spotify, Apple. So connect with us and subscribe and let us know what you think of our show. We look forward to connecting with you on the next episode of Daily Soul Bites Show. Bye bye.